Hey, what's up, folks? Welcome back to On Texas Football. Welcome back to the Tuesday live stream. Usually E. Hogan is here, but he's out tonight. So we brought in the man, the myth, the legend himself, Bobby Burton. I'm lifetime Longhorn Rod Babers. Pleased to be joined by not only Bobby Burton, but also my esteemed colleague and good friend, Jeff Howard. Both of those gentlemen were down on the 40 acres. Sark had a media availability, had a lot to say. So we'll talk about what Sark had to say to the media. A lot of questions, of course, about training camp. They are in full pads, I believe. So click clacking. We'll get to all of that conversation. But of course, you guys drive the show any direction you would like to. All right. Questions, comments, throw them out there. We'll try to address as many of them as we can. Super chats. Always jump to the front of the line. You can interrupt the show at any time and talk about whatever you want to talk about. We'll talk about Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese. Just throw a super chat on there. I don't encourage that, but I'm just saying we will. All right, throwing it out there. But let's start, guys, with the media availability from Sark. I'm sure that'll lead us into a ton of different directions. He had a lot to say. I got some topics here that I want to ask you guys about that I've seen some of the quotes from Sark. But I'll start with you, Bobby. What stood out to you about the media availability that Sark had today?
Well, the thing that got me was Sark just answers the media in response to the media so much better than maybe some guys have in the past at Texas. First of all, it feels authentic. He feels like he's trying to answer the question, and if he can't answer it, he just won't answer it and tell you. I mean, he won't try to skip around it, right? He'll try to tell you, I'm just not going to tell you. So that was the first thing yet again. Look, I've been doing these for 30 plus years. It still surprises me when I don't just hear coach speak. I mean, we've all been doing this for a decade plus. I mean, if you've been to one press conference, you feel like you've been to 30. You know, it's one of those types of things. But that always grabs me with Sark. But really the piece that stood out for me today was something he said, kind of a throwaway line almost. Dr. Brett Robin days. That's right. 25 days.
Well done.
What I was going to say though is Sark in that post-practice press conference, Jeff, and you can comment on this. He was talking about how Arch is working on his own with other people, even when he was a backup. And now that he's working a lot with Sark, he said that Arch has always had that inner drive, no matter who the coach was, or no matter what his position on the team was. And now that he's starter, he's seeing a lot more of it, obviously, because it comes to the forefront. Sark said he was leaving practice last night. And as he was walking away from the bubble in that area, Arch had the offense on the field running through, run through drills, Rod. Mm-hmm. And with nobody else around, no coaches, no nothing. Sark's just leaving, and as he's doing it, Arch is out there with the whole offense getting stuff done, and that's what I took away. That was my biggest piece, because I think that the outcome of this season is going to be so fundamentally reliant on Arch being that leader and stepping up. So that was my biggest takeaway.
Nice. Imagine it was there. I feel like this. I can't imagine there being a situation where half the offense is out there, and then some guys are not out there, and they're like, hey, either was I not invited, was I not paying attention? And then there's just added pressure, like, hey, I need to be a part of that group that's always out there. And then you're going to get the defense out there sooner or later, like, oh, we need to be out there too. I mean, that's what leadership does. It applies this very positive pressure to everybody to step their game up, all right, to be a part of it and to match his accountability. I love that. And I always say quarterbacks, they get the keys. Y'all heard me say that. You get the keys. You can do whatever you want. You can go out there on DKR on the field at DKR and hold your own walkthrough as a quarterback. You can do that. Can't no other position do anything like that. But quarterback, you can do that at 2 a.m. if you want to. All right. You got that kind of clout. And I'm glad that Arch is already using that. That's a great story. That's a great story. I love that. Jeff, what stood out to you?
Yeah, I'll piggyback on that here in just a sec, but a couple of things. One, Sark came to the press conference saying, man, this may be the greatest thing ever invented. He's drinking Gatorade in a can, which I didn't even know you could still get Gatorade in a can. So I guess when you're the head coach of Texas, you can get Gatorade in a can if you want.
Never heard of that before.
That's something when I was a kid, there's Gatorade in a can. Haven't seen it in a while, so props to Sark for that. Good news, though. DJ Campbell was back today. which was huge. Ryan Wing Sark said it felt like maybe needed another day. Teams got a scheduled day off tomorrow. They'll be back on Thursday, so they're hopeful practice out of Ryan Wingo on Thursday. So that's good. Everybody can, the national nightmare is over. Like, you can put to bed, hey, is this a serious deal or whatever? No, like, Campbell's back. Wingo's on his way back. As far as the Arch thing goes, I think anytime you ask anybody in the program, around the program, about Arch, the first thing they'll tell you is he's a great teammate. And I think Arch has been respectful of the process of, before you can lead, you got to follow. And he was respectful of Quinn, and I think it was understood. Sark even said it publicly. The 2024 Texas team was Quinn's team, but once they got back to campus and they regrouped after the Cotton Bowl, I think it was pretty clear this was Arch's team. And you watch Arch Manning on the practice field, he carries himself like this is his team, and it's not in a cocky way. It's almost like you can see it. He understands the responsibility, Rod, that comes with being QB1 at Texas.
Yep.
From that standpoint, I think Arch has respected the process, and now that it's his turn, he is 100% embracing it. I do want to get to a cut, though. So Matthew's got some cuts, and thank you to Matthew for putting these cuts together from the Sark press conference. I was really intrigued about what Sark had to say about Emmett Mosley, and we talked about Emmett Mosley a lot since Texas got him out of the portal, and we're wondering kind of what was it going to look like. Sark got into that, but also talked about the process Mosley's going through, going from that Stanford offense to getting adjusted to Sark's offense on the fly. I just thought this was a phenomenal answer by Sark, pretty revealing on Emmett Mosley, this answer from Sark today.
I'm impressed with, he is a bigger guy than you think. Even for me, I have to remind myself he's 210 pounds. Okay. And so the fact that he's very smart, he's got extremely strong hands, and he's probably faster than I think too. Everything about him is probably better than you would think. We're fortunate with him. The system that he played in at Stanford, I think, helps him in his transition with us because there's similarities to the way it was taught conceptually. I think I spoke about this last time, as opposed to maybe Matt Golden. When Matt came to us from Houston, Matt was coming from an air raid system. Totally different way, the way that they teach the offense and the way that you learn a system. And every system's different, all right? But when it's like, you live in the U.S. and then somebody drops you off in France and you got to learn French on the fly, that's tough. That's tough to do. As opposed to somebody who maybe is living in Canada and then moves to the U.S., it's not that big of a difference. They probably got some similarities. So Emmett, it's probably a little easier for him than maybe it was for Matt when Matt first got here.
Oh,
Jeff, you're muted. While Jeff is muted, let me say this real quick. There are French Canadians, Sark. So they can come here and speak French too. Jeff, go ahead, bud.
I had me a nice little streak going, so there goes that. But at any rate, no, I thought really, really good stuff from Sark there on, like Matthew Golden come from an air raid offense under Dana Holgorsen, having to learn a new offense and how that's different for guys based on the offense you plan. But what he said there about Emmett Mosley, I'm paraphrasing here, everything about him is better than you'd think it was. That tells me that, hey, we thought this guy was good. We've got him in the program now, and I think this is Sark's way of telling you the tools are better than we thought. The upside maybe is a little bit better than we thought. The athleticism, all that stuff is better than we thought. So I said it before, I'll say it again. With and I'll exclude Mason Shipley just because I haven't seen any of the kickers in camp, and he'll have to perform in Columbus coming up here on August 30th. But I think the spring portal additions, the primary three, Murad Watson, Jack Andrews, Emmett Mosley, I think Texas hit home runs with all three of them.
Yeah, it's interesting because, Jeff, you talked about this too, that Emmett Mosley, when you were just kind of watching them, when they obviously just had on these helmets and kind of shells, that some of the freaky traits don't necessarily just jump out to you. But you and I agreed that when he puts pads on and they get into actual football situations and team, that's where he would start to separate. And to me, I bet that's what that comment is about.
Yeah.
At the catch point, he's fantastic. I love this stat. Emmett Mosley recorded 8 contested catches last season. For freshmen, only Jeremiah Smith had more.
Ooh,
wide receivers.
Where did you get that stat from?
Pro Football Focus. And so he's great in those situations at the catch point, and he's bigger. And I think that's what Sark's like, man, this dude, where he almost can act as a possession receiver when you need him to, right? And just kind of big body guys and box guys out with his frame. And I think he does a good job naturally of that, of just attacking the football. So I kind of get what he's talking about. When you watch the film, it stands out. I think he's a guy that can play in the league. Like I really do.
He's a little wider shouldered too, Rod.
Mm-hmm.
They get rebounders tend to be wider shouldered guys.
Yes. Yeah.
I noticed that a little bit too. One thing I would say that I can add to that, my biggest concern with Mosley was not catching or plucking the ball like we talked about. It was actually speed. I was told this week that Mosley's hitting mid-22s on the catapult system. So it ain't speed.
Whoa.
It ain't speed.
Yeah.
He's got that, and I think that's what Sark is talking about. He's fast and he's big, or bigger than what you think, because he's fast.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, that's a good. I love this.
You expect them to be a little clunkier if they're that big, or not as fast if they're that big, etc. Yeah. But he's kind of checking all the boxes right now for them. I heard he had a really good practice today.
Bobby, you remember there was a point probably like between post-national championship and kind of maybe towards the end, that post-2010 era for Mac, when they were recruiting guys like Montre Weber and Philip Payne and Dan Buckner. Like they were trying to find like that, almost that Lima Swede type guy, and they never really found him. This is the guy Bobby Kennedy was looking for. Like this is what they were hoping to find with Emmett Mosley. That would have been their perfect receiver. They never really found him at that point, but this would have been their guy.
Josh Marshall was another one.
Yeah.
I go back to what Ed Orgeron told me one time. And Steve Sarkisian was part of this staff, if I'm not mistaken. Ed Orgeron said they were at USC together. And while they were at USC, they looked around and they were trying to find the next Dwayne Jarrett and Mike Williams. Remember those two guys?
Yeah.
Big, tall, long-armed, and fairly athletic, and all this. He said, we spent so much time finding the next one of those guys that we ended up with a bunch of slow, tall guys. And he goes, all of a sudden we didn't have anybody anymore. He goes, you got to be careful with that.
Yeah.
Your point, Jeff, because they can't, if they're slow, if they're tall, that's great. If they're slow and tall, not so great.
Yeah.
And so I think that Mac at that time was looking for a body type. I don't think that Sark is just looking for a body type.
Right.
Yeah, he's looking for a skill set.
Yeah. I mean, Rod, you know what I'm talking about. It's like they were going for these 6'4", 6'5" wide receivers, and then they couldn't get past anybody.
Yep.
The downfield threat was gone. USC had all these first-round quarterbacks and didn't necessarily have first-round wide receivers.
Sark will never sacrifice speed, I don't think.
Not knowingly.
Yeah, that's a baseline of speed you got to have just for Sark to want you as a receiver, to covet you as a wide receiver. All right, I see the super chats. We'll get to some of those. Marcus says, I'm slow and short. How about that? Hey, man, I'm telling you, it ain't all about speed, though, at wide receiver. Trust me. There are ways you can create separation without necessarily being an elite. Kwame Cavill was one of those guys. Kwame Cavill wasn't an elite speed guy, but, hey, Kwame would lose you. Trust me. But we'll get to some of your questions here and get back to some of the Sark audio that we have. But let's thank our first sponsor of tonight's program, our friend Andy Ludicky. We appreciate him and all of his support of On Texas Football. If you're looking to diversify, you may be someone like myself that has their hands in different businesses. Well, Andy and his team, they can help you diversify by finding you different businesses that will fit your time allotment and your financial goals. If you've been stuck in the corporate rat race with 2 weeks PTO and no control over the money you make or your schedule in general, reach out to Andy and his team, and they'll take you through a very detailed process to help you find a business that will fit your skill sets and your financial goals. Franchise ownership isn't for everyone, but if you have a desire to take control of your financial destiny, don't wait. Reach out to Andy today at 404-973-9901. That's 404-973-9901. Or you can reach out at Andy@myperfectfranchise.net. That's Andy@myperfectfranchise.net. Thank you very much to Andy Ludicky for sponsoring our Tuesday night live stream. All right, let's get to the super chats and questions, and we'll come back to getting you guys' thoughts and some of that Sark audio. But let's get them going here. How about Freelance Society? Appreciate Freelance Society stepping in. By the way, go check out his channel. Real journalism going on. Off topic, he said, did you watch the Texas high school 800-meter runner qualify for the USA team and run a 1 minute 42 as a 16-year-old? High school kids across sports are faster and stronger. Thank you very much for the society. Good. I did not see that.
I didn't either.
Wow.
I usually watch track pretty close. When did this happen?
I wonder.
Right, here he is. Cooper Lutkenhouse.
Wow. Where's he from?
Oh, wow. He's up in the Fort Worth area.
Okay.
I have a nephew that went to high school here, Justin Northwest.
Wow.
16-year-old from Justin Northwest finished second in the 800-meter race with a 1:42.27, setting a new under 18 world record.
Good Lord.
Holy cow.
That's crazy.
142, Rod.
I mean, he's running a 46.
Yes.
Running a 46 400 too this year. 46.3.
Holy cow.
Oh man, that
awesome, Rod. That's a 51 second.
That's super.
That's 2:51 second 400 meters.
Yeah, that's crazy.
You ever run a 51 second 400 meter? Just forget about the next 400 meter, the 800 meter. Did you ever run a 51?
I would say my splits were pretty good though. And
you're a track guy. I know you're a track guy, but
my split was pretty good. I probably was hitting like 50 or something like that. I probably was moving back then.
You did the second 400 didn't go 51.
Oh, no. My coach Martinez, who was a Vietnam vet, he was wild too. He was our track coach, and our O-line coach.
There you go.
And he would make you train. So during track season, you want to peak at the right time. So you're going to peak at the end of the season. So whatever your race was, you would train running double that amount. So if you were running 100, then you would run the 200 throughout the year and run 100. So I ran the 4. He would make me run the 8. He'd make me go out there and run the 8 as training for the 4. It was really good, but man, that 8 we think the 400 is a grown man's race. That 8 will make you ball up in the fetal position after. I mean, it just feels like that gorilla on your back for that whole 40 meters. So yeah, that's amazing though. I did not know that. Thank you for that, Freelance Society. The young kids are getting faster. When we just saw the track times for the state meet for Texas, man, those are ridiculous. I mean, you got kids, right? I mean, you got kids in 10-1s, 10-2s who ain't even winning the damn thing anymore.
They're 9 this year.
Used to run at 10-2. It's like, all right, we want it. Like, no, 10-2 you don't win it. Run the 10-2 no more. That just makes you fast, but not
16 years old, Rod. Run 142. God
bless the young man. Yeah. Yeah. Go. Yeah. I'll remember the name. What's the name again? Make sure we got it.
Cooper Lutkenhouse.
All right. There you go.
Lutken. Yeah. I think everybody needs to remember this because he's probably a future Olympian.
Yeah.
Lutkenhaus.
Lutkenhouse. I won't forget it. I'll be like, yeah, because I'm sure I'm gonna see that young man again on a bigger stage. All right, thank you for that, Freelance Society.
Rod, one other thing. Youngest American ever to qualify for the World Championships in track. I mean, not Michael Johnson, not Carl Lewis. Youngest ever to qualify for the World Track Championships.
Says right your 10-year split to come out was 155. I don't know if that's good or not. It probably ain't good enough. That's why I got drafted in the 4th round. It should have been faster. That's all I can say. That CB, it should have been faster. All right, Lockheed Horns with a super chat says, thank you, super chat, by the way, Lockheed Horns, we appreciate it. Says, you guys have great intel and sources and take great care to protect. Thank you for that. Said, does the staff proactively use OTF as an outlet for info they want disseminated?
No, that's not how it works. I wish it was. That's not how it works. They have channels to officially disseminate their information. But no, I mean, we do have good sources and take pride in that. But they have official outlets to disseminate their info.
Yeah,
I would welcome that, Lock and Horns. But
so you would like that type of partnership?
Would you?
I mean,
but at the same time, what ends up happening is if you do that too much, then it turns into you're just a mouthpiece for that organization. It doesn't benefit anybody, particularly the listener or the viewer, in my opinion. Or I mean, the world becomes an echo chamber of believing whatever some people tell you, and there's no sanity checks on things.
Trust me, yeah. You got it. That's one thing that I learned early on. You do got to have some integrity about yourself in this industry, and credibility. And credibility is everything in this industry. And I work with gentlemen who have a lot of great credibility in this market. So I appreciate that question, though, Lock and Horns. That's good. Todd with a super chat. Thank you, Todd. We appreciate that. Says, what influence will Neil Brown / Chad Scott have with the Texas offense? More 21 personnel, run game concepts we might see. Jeff, how about this one?
I think two things. I think, and I think they both are going to help this team in the red zone a little bit more. I think quarterback run game, just being diverse with it, because Sark really doesn't have a lot of that in his bag. Neil Brown does. And I think incorporating more motions and shifts with the tight ends, I don't want to say it's a lack of creativity, Rod, but their experimentation with tight ends, motions, and shifts, pretty much, the split flow with the tight end blocking back across the formation, that's about as exotic as Texas gets. Neil Brown, if you go back and watch his stuff, especially at Troy, man, they got fullbacks and they're going, they're motioning all over the place. And I love what he did. God, Neil Brown's one of those guys I felt like there was on the cutting edge out of what I call kind of the hybrid spread, where you're still using, tight ends and fullbacks, multi-tight end, multi-back sets, but you're still able to have, some air raid principles with it. Because Neil Brown is an air raid guy. He played for Hal Mummy and Mike Leach. So yeah, I think those two things with the goal of helping Texas be a better red zone offense.
Yeah, I definitely agree with the quarterback run game. Neil Brown's got a lot of exotic, kind of innovative ways to get the quarterback run game. Not that Sark's going to major in it or use it a ton, but I'm with Jeff. I think mostly probably in the red zone is where you'll see some of those things with the quarterback run game. I think, also start looking at in terms of 21 personnel. It depends on how much he likes his backs. When he loved his backs, Rojo and Bijan, so a lot more 21 personnel. And not saying he doesn't love his backs, because we see him throw to him. And I think we saw an increase of it when Jaden Blue earned trust and then Trey Weisner earned trust. You start to see a little bit more of it. So once he finds his two backs he likes, and he should have two, when Cedric Baxter gets back 100% and Trey Weisner, of course, returning 1,000-yard rusher, you should see a good amount of 21 this year, in my opinion, because he got the same stats I got. And guys, it is the most effective, explosive, and efficient personnel grouping he has. I mean, it throughout the years, no matter who's in the backfield. So I would expect to see a little bit more of it once CJ Baxter is 100%. So maybe after the first half of the season, maybe the second half of the season, you'll see a little bit more of that.
I want to say this: the two running back personnel. One of the reasons they didn't run it as much last year, neither one of those guys are lead blockers.
That's
when you have Weisner and Jaden Blue,
that's good.
Neither one of them are lead blockers. You add Cedric Baxter with the ability to be a lead blocker and or ball carrier with misdirection, you're talking about a different kind of look.
Mm-hmm.
So I agree with Rod. It's personnel related at some level. Roshan Johnson could be a lead blocker.
He was great.
Yeah, I mean,
he was great.
And Bijan, I mean, was just electric. So I feel like that's part of it. One thing that Sark did say in the press availability today, he said, look, Trey Wisner looked pretty good to him today, had a 50 or 60-yard run, second play of practice, actually, in team drills. He goes, and another thing that Sark said, I forgot to mention this, he's talking about how the defense has been leading the offense of late. And that's been something that has always been the case, and it's still the case right now. But he said there are moments for the offense.
Yeah, the defense should be ahead of the offense. Guys, this is every level too, by the way. It's high school, college, and the NFL. I saw I think it was Darren Jeremiah had a tweet about that. But it's the case always, because offense is a lot of the time, most of the time, is about precision, execution, timing, all of these, and all these things have to work in collaboration together for them to execute a play. So they're not going to get on the same page in the first week of training camp. They never do. It takes them a couple of weeks in training camp, start everybody getting on the same page. They'll win their fair share, is probably saying, but in terms of be operating right at a really efficient level, consistently play after play, it does take, especially when there are new pieces, because there are so many new pieces. So I think that's every level. I really do. Your defense should be ahead of your offense when you first start training camp, unless your offense is a juggernaut or your defense just actually is a bad defense. I think that should, because defense, we're just trying to wreak havoc. We're just trying to, we're just trying to stir the ish, man. We're just trying to create chaos. Chaos is good for the defense. We celebrate chaos. Offense hates chaos. It doesn't work out for them. They want efficiency and precision. We don't care about precision. We really don't. We just want to create chaos. That's what all defenses are trying to do, because offenses hate that, because chaos is almost the opposite of precision, and for them the execution that they want.
Yeah, I think the other part of that too, when we talk about the offense being ahead of the defense, Sark said this too. The offense basically needs to quit being so hard on themselves. They need to understand they're not perfect. Not every play is going to be the perfect play. Stop letting one bad play carry over to the next. He said there's just too much of that for his liking in camp right now, which, I mean, I think, to your point, Rod, I think as they bank more reps together and they start to figure out personnel, I think a lot of that stuff will work itself out.
Yep. And they're still doing basic, a lot, defense too, but their basic install is pretty basic. And Sark said today, right? They've done first down stuff and second down stuff. And even, when we were there, they were doing really basic install. They're still doing 40 personnel with just 4 DBs out there. And so now I think you said they're doing red zone now. They're doing some red zone stuff. So they're getting to situational, and then they'll start expanding, right, the playbook, and they'll do full install here pretty soon of everything. Once guys are mastering the basics. All right, Dylan with a super chat. Thank you, Dylan, for the super chat. We appreciate it. Says better season, AD Mitchell or Golden? Sounds like Mosley could be next. Oh, in the league, I think it's going to be Golden. We talking about in the league this year?
Man, I saw. So the Colts are doing joint practices with the Ravens right now, and apparently, any Ravens DB that lined up across from AD Mitchell today got cooked.
He was doing that last year, Jeff. He was getting open. They ain't got a quarterback that give him the ball.
Yeah, I know.
It ain't him that I'm betting against.
Yeah.
It's the quarterback and the O-line. You gonna carry the Green Bay Packers and their system to what the hell the Colts are doing? No way. Matthew Golden's in a much better spot.
And their answer to helping Anthony Richardson was bringing in Daniel Jones, which isn't helping anybody. So we're talking about.
There's a meme going on out there that Daniel Jones skipped 2 passes in a row, apparently, in between two receivers. You couldn't have been more perfect to hit the ball in between 2 receivers. It was perfect. And it kind of skidded, and there was a guy on there, saying, "Oh, another great pass by Daniel Jones." Perfectly placed between 2 receivers as opposed to 2 defenders.
I watch a lot of Colts because I'm a Texans fan in the same division. Trust me. It ain't AD Mitchell. AD Mitchell had one of the best. This is weird. If you go look at the ASS rating, and that's average separation score, for y'all who don't know, right? Analytical term. They'll talk about ASS all the time. They're not talking about badonkadonk. They're talking about this average separation score. He had one of the best in the NFL. he ain't the problem. He was open a lot. They just can't hit anything accurately on that team. And that's why Matthew Golden, I would put money on him having a better year just because, the Packers are a much more stable organization. And he's doing really well. I've been hearing a lot of good things about Matthew Golden.
They actually have somebody that can distribute the ball, is what you're saying.
Yes. And I think a better system. I mean, who the hell's running the coach system? Anybody know? Exactly. I'll take, so anyway, I'm not trying to get on the coast that much, but you get it. Okay, so what about Emmett Mosley, though? Sounds like Emmett Mosley could be next, is what he's saying. Dylan here. We just talked about that. Big season. Is he the third wide receiver, or is it Parker Livingstone? Is he fourth? Or
no,
third?
I think Mosley's.
Is he fourth or third?
I was talking to somebody that said that. I will say this. Somebody said that Parker Livingstone might have the best hands on the team at receiver. So,
Ooh.
but I would put Mosley ahead of Parker, and I would put Wingo and DeAndre Moore ahead of Parker at this point. Mosley could be next. I think it's going to be I think Wingo has just got so much talent. I mean, so much. So I would actually say instead of Mitchell or Golden, I would say, or instead of Mosley being the next one, I think it's going to be Wingo. Guys, Wingo has a gear that not many people understand. Whenever for a guy that big and that physical to have that gear that he can kind of lower push on the pedal and still go a little faster. I hope we see more of that this year, and he gets more opportunities with Arch to be that player a little bit.
The other thing I'll mention there, Bobby, as it relates to if you're just looking at if we're just looking at AD Mitchell's season at Texas, Matthew Golden's season at Texas, and what you expect from him and Mosley, you got to remember those guys had already played 2 years of college football before they got to Texas, and just basically they were going to Texas. It was a 1-year deal, and they were going to the league, so they were a little more advanced. Number one, and number two, the skill sets, at least at this point in their development, are a little more well-rounded. Like AD Mitchell had CFP experience when he got to Texas. I played him plenty of big games at Georgia when he got to Texas. Matthew Golden, if you go back to his freshman year at Houston, when he had a competent quarterback in Clayton Tune, he was playing alongside Tank Dell. He was insanely productive. But then his sophomore year, he was hurt. Donovan Smith was the quarterback at Houston, and there's a reason Dana Holgerson's no longer the head coach at Houston. So, yeah, it was all basically Texas was kind of the last stop for them to get refined. I think Emmett Mosley just kind of on a different track right now than either one of those guys was.
He's younger. Mosley's only a true sophomore.
Yeah.
He's got 2 years.
Golden and Mitchell came to Texas as true juniors.
Who do you take as a better player, though, at Texas? I know we talked about, obviously.
At Texas?
AD Mitchell or Golden? It's tough, actually. I've been thinking about it for a second. It ain't easy because Golden, man, that last stretch he had, he was like the best. Nobody increased their draft stock more in the last 6 weeks of the college football season than Matthew Golden. Nobody in the country. Nobody. Like he became a first rounder in like the last 6 weeks of the season. But then AD Mitchell was so clutch. Oh, he was so clutch. Big moments, red zone. He was great in red zone.
Matthew Golden, I got to be honest, Matthew Golden was great in red zone.
He was good in red zone.
Like against Vanderbilt.
Yep. Michigan.
The Michigan one on the side against Arkansas.
Mm-hmm.
Sideline. I go back. I mean,
I might say Golden.
Arizona State, obviously.
I might say Golden. It's crazy. Maybe it's just it just recency bias?
No, I don't think it's crazy. I would pick Golden over AD Mitchell. Now, if you were to ask me who is more talented, I might say AD Mitchell.
Yeah.
But AD Mitchell, you got to remember, AD Mitchell didn't necessarily light the world on fire right away at Texas either. I mean, he had some ups and downs. Golden was always consistent.
Yeah.
I mean, he was a very consistent player that we heard from behind the scenes was consistent from the day he got on campus.
Yep, it's true.
The separator for me is AD Mitchell got to play the whole season alongside Xavier Worthy, where he never really there was really never that pressure for him to be the number one. Now, that said, I felt like 2 games that kind of go unrecognized in his time at Texas. The 2 games Quinn was out, the BYU game and the K-State game, he made some really big plays from Malik Murphy. AD Mitchell did. So that was huge. But you got to remember, like when Isaiah Bond got hurt, like Matthew Golden became the number 1 wide receiver last year.
Yeah, he did.
Like, and then he had the stress when he started to play his best. Isaiah Bond was out. Ryan Wingo was banged up.
Yeah.
Like basically Gunnar Helm and Matthew Golden were the passing game, and that's when we saw Jaden Blue start to emerge too.
Mitchell is, bear with me here because they are different body types, but Mitchell and Wingo are somewhat similar in that they can press on the accelerator about 25 yards in. 20 to 25 yards in, they can still press on the they can be coasting at a pretty swift rate, and then all of a sudden, boom, they're a little bit longer striders.
Yeah.
You know.
They have a tracking acceleration is kind of what I call it, where when they start tracking the ball, most guys slow down when they start tracking the ball, and they can almost keep a relatively high speed while still tracking the football. And that's why they tell DBs don't look back until you have to, because you're going to slow down. Look back, you're going to slow down looking for the football. So that's a good point about the acceleration there, Bobby. All right, let's thank another sponsor before we answer some more super chats here. Let's thank our friends at Duck Camp. That's right, folks. Duck Camp back on board for football season, and we appreciate them very much. Duck Camp gear is made for the people that live for the moments out there where there are fish to catch, birds to hunt, time to kill, and plenty of football to watch. They like doing all that stuff, so they built a company centered on it, based in Austin and dedicated to giving people best-in-class hunting and fishing apparel. Duck Camp gear has been tested from the backcountry of Alaska to the dove fields of Texas, also ready to keep you cool and comfortable on those scorching hot days in Texas. It will stand up to the toughest conditions, but also happily sit down beside a fire and drink a few cold ones if that's more your speed. That's actually kind of more my speed. But you can actually look at some of their new featured gear at duckcamp.com. The new sun protection shirts keep you cool and dry and comfy, available in camo and solid colorways, and their iconic Game Series hats that feel as timeless as the hats found in your grandpa's garage. Be sure to check out their new mallard hat, also the new pointer hat in clay colorway, pretty much their cherished burnt orange color. I've actually worn a lot of Duck Camp gear in that color, and people assume that it's Longhorn gear. It's not. It's just close to burnt orange, as close as you can get without getting a cease and desist. So here's a great season, y'all. Yes, hunting and football. Shop hunting gear at duckcamp.com. That's duckcamp.com, and really appreciate them for sponsoring our Tuesday live stream. All right, getting back to the super chats, and then we'll get to some Sark audio too here, because I want to make sure we get those other cuts in. But let's hit the Nick Turn first. The Nick Turn, thank you for the super chat, says Texas advantage, training in high heat and playing in moderate temperature. Bigger gas tank for the big boys for sure. Thoughts? Sark did mention that it's intentional. He's trying to practice in the heat. He said it. He said it today. Ralph forgot how he said it, but he was like, and we want to be in the heat at times to push the guys in that way. Not only get you ready, but I think it's part of like the mental toughness test for the players.
I agree. First of all, he essentially said, look, this is what it's about. I mean, we got to get ready mentally because you're going to be tested physically. Mm-hmm. So it's as much mental as physical. I'll just say this too, and I think we don't give enough credit to Torrey Becton.
Nope.
Staff. I was talking to somebody today, and look, I mean, he does, because I was talking about Andre Kojo. Okay, sad deal, right? Guy works so hard. And Jeff, you and I and Rod, we've all been to practice. We saw him when he first showed up on campus to what he looked like just last week when we saw him. He was a changed physical human being in his 2.5 years on campus. Changed. I mean, physically looked like, it just unbelievable. And Torrey Becton deserves some credit for that, because I know Brandon Baker looks better this year. Nick Brooks even looks better over a 6-month window. Torrey Becton does a good job training these guys overall. And I will say this, he also clearly has not had issues training for speed at the same time, Rod.
No.
That makes sense. Like a lot of big guys get their guys real muscular and get them in shape, but they don't necessarily train for speed. Becton may be one of those rare guys that's able to do a little bit of both.
I agree. Yeah, no, it's been remarkable. The fact that Texas goes to their players go to the combine now, and and they really, they excel at the combine. They do. They're much better than we were back when I played at the combine. I think this is the best Texas is actually performing at the combine as a school. And that obviously they do their own individual training for the combine, right, leading up into it. But you guys, you still the weight that you gain, the way your body transforms. That's what Bobby's talking about, to add that armor, to add that weight, to add that mass, and still keep the speed. Like they're talking about Jordan Washington. What they say, he went from 218 to 260. Most human beings would be basically lumbering around if you're 260. Jordan Washington, I guarantee you, has probably kept the same amount of speed, if not gotten faster, adding that kind of weight. Now, that's freaky stuff. How do you do that? There's a science to it, and Torrey Becton has figured out that science. Nutritionists and the dietitians are a part of it too, but they really are their elite. It translates to on the field, but it also is translating now when they're being tested at the combine too. So I'll give Torrey Becton a lot of credit. I'm with you. Probably most underrated coach, underrated hire for Sark, period.
Hey, you mentioned, before we go to the next one, I want to say this. Blake Monroe and CJ Vogel. If you're not a member to On Texas Football, you might want to be one right now. Blake Monroe and CJ Vogel just put up a practice report from this afternoon. So you guys might want to go check that out. Right now we have On Texas Football as a special $39.95 for a year subscription. It's $20 off the annual subscription if you use the promo code OTFOG. But I want to mention that because both those guys have a pretty good practice report from earlier today that they posted within the last hour on the site.
Thank you very much for that. Go ahead, Jeff.
Yeah, I'll just say about Torrey Becton. When he got hired at Texas, I was reminded of his background, and he was at Baylor for a little bit working with the track program. And the two of the guys he worked with, Clyde Hart, the legendary, was Michael Johnson's personal coach. Yep. Baylor got the label quarter miler you, and two of the guys that Torrey Becton worked with, Jeremy Warner and Darrell Williamson, both those guys, former Olympians. So, and when Texas hired him, I reached out to some of my old Baylor contacts and asked about Torrey Becton, and it was almost like, yeah, Torrey knows what he's doing. Like, kind of like Texas may finally get this strength conditioning thing really figured out, this player development thing figured out. So from Clyde Hart all the way down at Baylor, just a ton of respect for Torrey Becton and what he did from the Baylor folks I talked to.
Nice. That's a nice nugget there, Jeff. Appreciate that. I did not know that, actually. I didn't know that at all. All right, getting back to it. Juan with a super chat. Thank you, Juan. We appreciate it. He says, okay, Bobby, two things. Texas Tech is going to be a thorn in our side in recruiting for years to come. Also, I saw your video of you saying we beat the Tennessee easily in a video you were on with podcasts with SEC. So you may say, I think I saw that too. That went viral, actually. Bobby saying that they would kick Tennessee's butt or whatever it is. Or last year, I think you said would he kick their butt. Bobby, what are your thoughts? Thank you, Juan, for the super chat.
Yeah, thank you, Juan, for the super chat. So Texas Tech. There was an article that came out today. I don't know if everybody saw it, but I think that's what Juan is referencing. Tech said they spent $11 million just in the portal.
Damn.
21 players. So that's roughly $500,000 a pop. So that's not just, and some of those guys weren't they were not high-end guys. They said they signed multiple portal prospects to 7-figure deals.
Man.
So we need to understand that, right? And realize that that's reality. And that's why Juan's asking about this. I do think that they're going to be a little bit of it, but I don't look, they need to win football games. I mean, also in that article, it was pretty clear that Texas Tech hasn't won a conference championship, not a national championship, a conference championship since they were in the border conference. I wasn't alive.
I don't even know what that is.
Okay. So now they've been tied for one, but didn't go forward, but
yeah,
that's a long time not to win. So before they're a thorn in Texas's side, let's see what happens with them this year. And I think it was very interesting. The article also pointed out, like, look, I mean, Joey McGuire's got all the toys that a kid could want.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to go. You have to go figure it all out. As far as the video of what I said about Tennessee, I believe it to this day. If Texas would have played Tennessee last year, I wouldn't. My blood pressure would have been, exactly what it is today. I was not worried. I was not worried about Texas beating Clemson. I wouldn't have been worried about Texas beating. I just wasn't. There's some teams that would have been really good matchups for Texas.
Mm-hmm.
Tennessee would have been an outstanding matchup for Texas because all they could do is run the ball.
Yeah.
You think Texas can't stop the run?
Yeah.
Give me a break.
Yeah.
I mean, and their quarterback, he's trying out for the Indianapolis Colts, I think. So he's similar type quarterback. So I had no problem with. I still to this day believe that Texas would have beat the out of Tennessee. And now is that a 10-point win? Is that a 17-point win? Some people can talk about what that really looks like, but Tennessee would not have been in the game in the fourth quarter. That's my opinion.
Real quick, Bobby, on that Texas Tech point, going back to conference championships, Tech did technically, if you go back to the '94 season when A&M was on probation and couldn't claim the Southwest Conference Championship, Tech was in that weird four-way tie. It was like Texas, Baylor, Texas Tech, and Rice.
Right.
Technically four-way Southwest Conference champions. Tech's consolation prize was going to the Cotton Bowl facing the USC team with Keyshawn Johnson and Tony Baselli. That thing was over before the ball got kicked off.
They didn't really win the conference. A&M did because they were. Yeah. That's what look, they haven't won a true undisputed conference championship. I think it was since either 1959 or 1950.
Man. Whew. Yeah. But I will say this, considering everybody's got to have their own individual strategy with the new landscape of college sports, revenue sharing, NIL, and whatever else that's going on, transfer portal, I'll give them credit. They have found a way to penetrate like the discourse. Like Texas Tech kind of matters. Like they matter. We're talking about Texas Tech. We usually don't talk about Texas Tech. Nobody talks about Texas Tech. It has made them relevant in this new space. Now, will this translate to success? I don't know. But I will say that if you're a recruit these days, hearing that message, because the stories are not for any of us. They're really for the recruits. They want the recruits to hear they spent $11 million in the transfer portal. They want recruits to hear they got a $25 million roster. That's what they want the recruits to hear, because all the big – and they even said it. I mean, they literally are saying the quiet part out loud. They said if a blue blood program, if they're undervaluing their top recruits, Texas Tech will overpay them. They basically said, "No, we'll overpay you." They want to underpay you? Man, we're going to overpay you. So you want to come here. And they've admitted that we have to overpay guys to come live in Lubbock. They're being very realistic about their situation, and they got a sugar daddy. And you need a real sugar, one who's not ashamed to be a sugar daddy. Most sugar daddies want to hide in the background. No, they got a sugar daddy who wants credit for all of the players he's bringing in. He's trying to make it rain on college football. So their experiment, different than what Texas is doing, different than what Oklahoma's doing. Everybody's got their own little experiment going on. So I applaud them. Good job. You're relevant.
It was an interesting article. They said they had a meeting at the Cotton Bowl stadium or AT&T. I can't remember what it was. Long story short, the GM, the head football coach, and the top administrator, the top donor, Cody Campbell, had a meeting in July of last year and said, this is going to be the last year where we can go hog wild. Let's do it. And so they did. And that was a really interesting story. I just go back and say this. I mean, how many of those guys were really worth that? I'm just going to put that out there. I mean, there's some thought process there. So we'll see, because that lopsides the rest of your team.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that could be an issue long-term for them. But they did say, to Rod's point, one of the comments was, okay, if somebody offers this guy $500,000, to go to school there, we've got to offer them $670,000 to get them to go to school here.
Yep.
That's
They know that. Yeah. All right. Thank you for that. John with a super chat says today's practice info. We'll say that Bobby did say that there's a story over at OwenTexasFootball.com from Blake Monroe and CJ Vogel with some nuggets about today's practice. So head on over there and you can become an OTFOG. For just $39 right now. There you go, $39.95. Get a year subscription to OwenTexasFootball.com. Lots of great nuggets over there. The stuff we cover here on the YouTube platform is great, but it is a fraction, folks, a fraction of the actual stuff, the knowledge that you can gain about your Longhorns over at OwenTexasFootball.com. All right, thank you, John, for the super chat, though. We appreciate that. Matter of fact, speaking of, let's hear some Sark audio, Jeff, from earlier today, because one of the topics was about O-line. I mean, of course, with the Andre Kojo injury, shout out to CJ Vogel and the Owen Texas football staff once again breaking that story. But what do you say about the O-line? Because I know that was a big topic of conversation, and we'll get back to the super chats, guys, I promise. But that was a big topic of conversation today at the media availability. Yeah,
I'll let Sark take it away. Basically, he is not really all that worried about their depth behind. He loves where Brandon Baker is, likes where they're at as a whole. Unfortunate for Andre Kojo, but I'll let Sark take it from here.
At different options and different people. Brandon's a heck of a player. We're excited about him, but we've moved Brandon around some too. Again, we've never tried to be just a one-dimensional group, especially early on the first couple weeks of training camp. We're always mixing people around because I don't know what might happen in week 4 of the season, or week 8, or week 12, or week 15. This is a long way to go. So we got to keep developing our people. And we've got plenty of good people in that room, and we'll be okay.
That's been my big question with the O-line. It's not so much and this is kind of where I was with the interior defensive line the last couple of years. It's not so much, guys that are stepping into starting roles. It's now that Cole Hudson is back as a starter and that Neto is in the starting 5 and that Trevor Goosby's a starter. Okay, who's going to step up and be that third tackle? Who's going to step up and be that third guard? Who's going to be able to be the swing guy? Kojo, if he lost that battle, if he was healthy and lost that battle with Brandon Baker, he'd probably be your number 3 tackle. Now, your margin for error is shrunk. You're probably going to have to see if it's Nick Brooks. Jaden Chapman, can he be your swing guy? Nate Kibble, can he be your first guy off the bench on the interior? So, he said, I'm not so worried about the starters. I'm kind of worried about that next group of guys. Can they step up and still give you enough to where you feel like if you're Kyle Flood, you're going into every game with like eight starting caliber guys. I think 8 to me is always kind of been the magic number.
Yeah, it's good stuff. I'm with you. I think that the domino effect was troubling. You have a lot. They were battling it out for that starting spot, Kojo and Baker. So you had 2 guys you at least saw starter caliber potential from, but now the domino effect of losing one of those guys. So I'm with you. That's a little concerning. Go ahead, Bobby.
Yeah, one nuanced thing. I don't know if everybody caught that or not, but one nuanced thing Sark said is we've worked Brandon Baker at other places. I'm told that's right guard, and that was back in last year when they were seeing, if they need some depth, etc. They had worked some at right guard. I think he's a right tackle, and I think he's going to be the starter. And I think he would have been the starter even if Andre Kojo would have stayed or would have not been injured. I want to be clear about that. But at the same time, I'm with Rod in that it's the domino effect. Okay, now if you lose somebody, you go down 2 rungs instead of just 1 rung. It's like you lost 2 steps. The other thing I would say, look, I haven't read. We were talking about those the reports. I haven't actually read the reports from Blake and CJ yet, and I haven't talked to them yet about their practice. Otherwise, I would try to do whatever I could to help you guys know what was said. But I haven't read them. I just know I got an email saying that they had posted them, so I was forwarding that on to everybody.
Yeah,
my apologies. So.
Yeah, he's not holding back from you guys. It's like,
let everybody understand we don't do that. I've made a pledge that look, we're going to be upfront with everybody when we know stuff.
Hey, I'll give you a nugget though. There was a CJ's report. Bobby, you and I were talking about this recently. CJ reported this as one additional nugget that I picked up was on running back Christian Clark. He was the first back on the field when the second team offense took the field for live periods against the defense. Clark ended up with a solid gain on a screen play, according to a source. I think the passing game is Christian Clark's ticket to the field. And, if you look depth beyond CJ Baxter and Trey Wisner, I think the ability Christian Clark has in the passing game, that could end up giving him the edge over Jarrett Gibson in terms of who that number 3 back is.
That's good. Yeah, I like that. All right. I want to hit this. Can we get to my favorite quote from Sark today, though?
Yeah, go for it.
The one about the offensive tackles.
Yeah.
He was just being asked, I think, about obviously the Kojo injury and depth at tackle. And this might be my favorite quote from Sark today. I won't spoil it, but here's Sark talking about how tough it is to try to find a tackle like in the transfer portal.
And a season-ending injury, and hate that for him. He'd been working hard to get himself in a competitive state, and so we'll get him healthy. We'll support him just like we've done a lot of other guys who have had injuries in the past. At this point, to try to go in the portal and find a tackle, I might as well go to the co-op. I might have a better shot over there. So no, I'm not going to try to do that.
That is a good one. I might as well go to co-op and go look for a guy. And I think he's right. I agree with him. That's a good one. That was a great one from Zark right there. All right. Before we move on, we got some more super chats, guys. I promise with those. But first, let's tell you about another one of our sponsors for tonight's program. Bobby, would you tell them about Mark Saunders, please?
Yeah, absolutely. When it comes to protecting all your stuff, wouldn't it be great to have one place that protects it all? Here's some good news. Texas Allstate agent Mark Saunders, serving the Austin and Round Rock area, as well as all of Texas, is your local insurance agent, the only one you need. Everything from your home, car, boat, motorcycle, RV, even ATV. Call Texas Allstate agent Mark Saunders' office today, 512-218-8571, or email him, marksaunders@allstate.com, marksaunders@allstate.com. Are you in good hands with more than 35 years of experience? You will be with Texas alum Mark Saunders. If you're looking for someone local to the Austin, Round Rock area and all of Texas, give them a call, 512-218-8571.
All right. Thank you very much to Mark Saunders. We appreciate him being a member of the Owen Texas football family. Back to the super chats, gentlemen. Justin, thank you very much for the super chat. Says, does this generation benefit from not having to go through tour days? Is it more rest or the training at an early age? Something has to explain why kids are getting bigger, stronger, and faster. Justin, I think it's just evolution. I'm not going to lie. I think a part of it's just human evolution. I know it sounds crazy, but kids are just bigger, stronger. And I'm looking at these kids. I go see them. I've been to some camps, and Bobby and Jeff, maybe they feel the same way. I do think kids just getting bigger, stronger, and faster. Go look at, I'll give you a great example. I was looking at a diagram, and they were looking at defensive linemen like throughout the generations. And in 1967, Alan Page, right, Hall of Famer, 6'4", 250 as a D tackle. You know what D tackles are? Then they look at guys like Haloti Nada in the league, who's now 6'4", 335 at D tackle.
Look, after he's jogged 8 miles, he's 335.
Exactly.
He ain't 335 and gets out of that scale.
But think about it. And these guys are running freaky 40 times too. Like now they got guys who are that big who are running 40s in like 5 seconds flat and under 5 seconds. Like that to me, that's just human evolution. Like I that's what I chalk it up to. And guys are getting more specialized training. The specialized training industry, oh man, it is skyrocketed. I would say every above average player at the high school level at a decent high program, they end up getting at one point some kind of specialized training, just even in high school. Because the high schools contracted out now to different guys. I know guys who go to high schools and are like, oh no, I work with them in summer programs and we do this kind of stuff. So I think that's a big part of it too. The training is now at a whole different level than it was when I played.
The reason they don't have to, I'm sorry, Jeff, go ahead.
No, you got it, Bobby.
The reason they don't have to go through 2-a-days anymore is because medical doctors stepped in and said I will say this, one kid dies from heat stroke after a 2-a-day, and they're going to be, there are going to be changes, and perhaps they're necessary. I'm not trying to debate that. As far as rest or the training at an earlier age, as far as how kids are getting bigger, stronger, and faster, I don't know about stronger or faster, but I am a big believer that the bigger part is all the hormones we put in foods. I mean, and I'm not, it's the whole industry, so I'm not calling one person out, and I'm not trying to go say eat local or get the hormone-free stuff, but I'm telling you, kids are also reaching maturity earlier than they had been in years past. I think it's all because of a lot of the food that kids eat at a young age. We were talking about this just 2 days ago or 3 days ago on Sunday night, Rod. We were talking about Leonard Davis.
Oh, yeah.
Leonard Davis, when he came to Texas, he was known as big, and he was the largest human being I had ever seen in my life. That wasn't that was large. I'm not talking about a pro basketball player, because I'd seen them before.
Yeah.
But they're tall. They're not tall and huge. Yeah. Built like refrigerators, And so I remember that. And I go back, and Texas had signed two kids this year that are bigger than Leonard Davis. They're bigger than Leonard Davis walking in the door. Josiah Sharma and Nick Brooks. Both of them were bigger than Leonard. At that time, 30 or 25 years ago, whenever it was with Leonard Davis, that was the biggest human I'd ever seen, I thought.
Yeah, he was huge.
He's just enormous. So I think it's a little bit of evolution, maybe, to Rod's point, and a lot of chicken nuggets with who knows what in them.
Gotta watch those dino nuggets.
Exactly.
Yeah. I'll just add, as far as the two-a-days part goes, and Bobby, you hit the nail on the head, and I don't want to get too philosophical here, but sometimes it does take a tragedy to change things. I was a senior in high school, so Rod, you've been in your junior season at Texas. When Corey Stringer died of heat stroke, I think that was like 1 or 2 days in the Minnesota Vikings camp. I think at that point is when it hit everybody. Oh, you really can die if you don't get enough water during this heat, if you don't hydrate and rest and eating right. So I think that's the big thing. Is it's not just here, take some salt tablets and you'll be fine by the end of the day. Like, no, everybody's kind of understood that hydration and rest and how much time you're in the sun, that's completely changed from where it was 20, 25 years ago.
Yeah, that's a good point. It used to be coaches say, hydrate. Remember Mac Brown saying, hydrate, drink water. Now they test you to see if you're hydrated. They literally got tested as like, oh no, you're not hydrated enough, or you're not just. And the Tom Herman P chart that it was a rudimentary test, but essentially it was a hydration test. So Jeff's right about that. Now they take it, and they should take it seriously.
I got to post this real quick while we're talking about this. Chris Bennett says, "Can you get Gatorade in a glass bottle?" That was all they used to come in.
Yeah.
When they first got I remember going and seeing what's Gatorade, and all it came in was a glass bottle. So now it comes in every plastic known to man.
That's crazy. Yeah,
and apparently now. So.
But did it taste better like Coke in the bottle? Like Coke? Because Coke is better.
That right there, that one on the far right was money.
Oh,
the lemon lime?
Oh God, it was so money.
Lemon lime is the worst flavor. And actually, the orange is the worst flavor of Gatorade. Lemon lime is right there with it, though.
You taste that after going a day at Deer Park High School, basketball camp, running suicides. You tell me what tastes bad. What tastes good? But they let you drink Gatorade.
It's like the elixir of the gods, huh? It looks like
Rod, I'm not gonna lie. This is like admitting you like bad candy. My 3 favorite flavors of Gatorade are the cucumber lime, the lemon lime, and the orange.
Oh, what is wrong with you?
I love the lemon lime and the orange. Cucumber lime, yeah.
Oh man, that's disgusting. That is, I cannot believe that. That's just nostalgia from when you were in 2 days.
I guess my wife's like, you should only drink that if you're sick. Like, there's no way you can enjoy it. I'm like, I don't know.
Oh man, that's crazy. Let's get back to the super chats here. Nate, I see your super chat. Thank you very much. But I do not see a question attached to it. Oh, there it is. Thank you very much. That's why Matthew's the best. He said, could y'all explain how a reclassification from 27 to 26 works? Does the player have to complete a year's worth of high school classes over the summer to finish early? Thank you, Nate, for the super chat.
There's a couple pieces to this. Zealous Hicks entered a year and a half early. And it's because some of these guys now take dual enrollment classes at a local JC that could, if they want to, count towards their high school graduation. And they're doing it as their freshmen, sophomores, and juniors in high school.
That's crazy.
So that is probably the biggest thing. I mean, look, he didn't reclass, but Byron Murphy, he entered the University of Texas with 60 hours of junior college credit. And he just went to regular high school at DeSoto.
That's crazy.
So along with AP classes and things like that are now available that count for, and it all depends on the school district, et cetera. But my point being, that's how it works, Nate. And yes, some of them are night classes. Some of them are online, a variety of different ways. But Zealous Hicks didn't just reclassify from 26 to 25. He reclassified and then graduated a year and a half early. He was here for spring ball. So it's crazy, and it is highly normal right now for guys to at least come in the spring of their senior year, what should have been their spring year.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Texas had 22 of 27, I think it was, signees that came in spring.
Is it just to get paid sooner, or is it just because they want to start the clock?
Mark wants it. Every coach wants it because you get them for. It's like if you think about it, Rod, when you were going, how many spring balls did you actually have at Texas? You had 3.
Yeah. You're right.
You get 4.
You get an extra one.
Yeah. If they come in the winter months.
Yeah. No, it's definitely the norm now, and that never happened when I was being recruited. Like,
no, it wasn't even contemplated.
It wasn't even a thing. Yeah, it wasn't even a choice. Like nobody did that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
All right, thank you for that, Nate. Good explanation there, Bobby. Beard says, Rod, when it comes to the install in camp, is it the same each year, or do coaches adjust based on personnel? Thanks, guys. I was talking to Coach Shipley about this, actually. And Coach Shipley said basically when you have the same staff and the same system, that you do pretty much the same basic install. You start with, and I think for Sark, it's the same way too. You start with the basics. And I think if you have a veteran team, maybe you'll get through it quicker. And it's not as clinical, because that's why I think the spring they had this year was like, hey, we're teaching because we're a very young team. And maybe that helped them. Like Bobby said, get these guys in earlier. That all helps you transition into camp and get through basic install quicker. But you definitely start with the basic install. When I was there, it was always, and NFL was the same way. I mean, everybody kind of starts with their basic install of everything, and then you build on that situationally. Sark said today they're doing red zone today. So during red zone, you kind of build on it as you go throughout the camp. Thank you, Beard. Appreciate that super chat. Getting back to it, Texas football. What's it? Horeo says with NIL and students, basically employees, is the NCAA considering relaxing practice time restrictions? When did we get rid of 2-a-days? Oh, 2-a-days when
2-a-days been gone for a while.
Yeah, been gone for a while. Even at the NFL level now, they're ain't a real version of 2-a-days. It's just like one practice and then there's like another practice, but it's very scaled back, if you will. Yeah. But what you guys' thoughts about this, Jeff?
Something's got to give at some point, because, and I think the decision today, I don't know if you guys saw this, but it came down to where the voting structure in the NCAA is going to change, where, shocker, the autonomy conferences are going to have more of a vote. It won't change, revenue distribution or the rules, but they'll have more of a say in what goes on. I think part of that is going to be, you're doing with NIL so much, the college football structure has changed, but your practice rules are still pretty antiquated. I think a lot of that's going to change, where you'll see spring ball. We talk about the elimination of spring games. I think at some point you're going to see a college football offseason almost 100% mirror what an NFL offseason looks like, where you've got a structure where you have your OTAs, your mini camp, and then going to training camp.
There was a report, before we quickly move on from this, that a college sports players association held a closed-door meeting with several power forward general managers. 23 of them was the number they threw out there. and they said all 23 support a collective bargaining model. More and more people have been bringing that up. And to your point about relaxing practice time restrictions, the reason the NFL has to relax theirs is because they collectively bargain it. The players do. Like, nah, we're not going to have padded practices till this time. We'll have this many padded practices. We're only going to practice for this many hours, and they collectively bargain that stuff. You're on your way there. I'll just say that with college sports. Thank you for the super chat. Moving on. Billy with a super chat says, on a scale from 1 to 10, what is our chance of beating OSU in the horseshoe with or without CB? See Cedric Baxter, I'm assuming that is.
Chris Bennett going to Columbus?
I know. I said CB. In my head, it was like, that's not CB. I'm assuming he says Cedric Baxter. I could be wrong about that, but I think that's Cedric Baxter. Go ahead.
Texas can win that game without CJ Baxter.
I agree.
They're most likely going to have to.
Yeah.
I mean, I say this. Somebody asked me, I think I was at a speaking deal down in Houston the other day, and somebody asked me how many carries do I think Cedric Baxter will get in that game. I think 0 to 3. I mean, so is that with or without Cedric Baxter? I mean, I don't know. I mean, look, I've talked to people. He looks good. I'm just telling you, he does. He looks good.
He does.
The key will be, what's going to happen when he starts getting hit? But one person told me today, no hesitancy at all when he's hitting the line of scrimmage. No, he's not playing hesitant. You know, so we'll see where that goes. But on a scale of chance, what is the chance? I mean, Texas has every chance to beat Ohio State without CJ Baxter.
Look, I think CJ Baxter, and I'm not knocking CJ Baxter whatsoever. CJ Baxter doesn't have anything to do with the fact that Texas is probably going into that game with the best defense in the country against the first-time starting quarterback and a rebuilt offensive line. I mean, it may be ugly. It may be, a 17-3 or 17-10 or 13-9 kind of game, but yeah, Texas can win that. And I think Bobby hit the nail on the head. They're going to have to do it because me personally, I don't think CJ Baxter is going to be 100% by that ball game. And I think if there's any shred of doubt in anybody's mind, Sark or anybody, I don't think they would play him.
Yeah. I like the plan of having him ready for the second half of the season to be your second half of the season starter. Jeff, I think you threw that out there first, basically. Ride Trey Wisner into the ground. And Trey Wisner would have no complaints either because he'd be like, I want my audition. So first half of the season, I'm like, Trey Wisner, baby, you the run game. It's all you. Second half, we're going to basically have a two-back system pretty much. We're gonna ease CJ into it early. Like Bobby said, maybe one carry in Ohio State game or a couple of snaps, and we'll ease him into it slowly but surely. By second half of the season, when you got to make that playoff run, a fresh CJ Baxter, it just gets me excited.
I want to say this. I actually hope he's able to play against Ohio State and is as good as he could be.
I do too.
I want to be clear. I'm not hoping it doesn't happen. We'll see.
Sark said he ain't gonna rush it though. I believe he said that. We gotta rush it. So if you're not gonna rush it, that to me means that you're gonna hold off a little bit early on in the season, but we shall see. All right, we got a few more questions. We're gonna answer those, but let's thank our final sponsor, friend Andy Ludicky. Let's thank him for his support and sponsorship of On Texas Football. If you may be someone like me that has their hands in different businesses, well, Andy can help you diversify by finding you different businesses that may fit your time allotment and your financial goals. If you're stuck in the corporate rat race with 2 weeks PTO and no control over the money you make or your schedule in general, reach out to Andy and his team, and he'll take you through a very detailed process to help you find a business that will fit your skill sets and your financial goals. While franchise ownership isn't for everybody, if you have a desire to take control of your financial destiny, reach out to Andy today. 404-973-9901. That's 404-973-9901. Or you can reach out at Andy@myperfectfranchise.net. That's Andy@myperfectfranchise.net. All right. Neil wants to continue having the conversation about running backs. Says, let's talk running backs. Who is going to have the best season and why? And do we have that swing guy with hands? You don't have a Jaden Blue. I will say that. And the more and more I went back and watched, every game several times now, man, Jaden Blue was special as a vertical threat in the passing game. He's actually having a really good camp with the Cowboys too. Did you hear Schottenheimer said that he's a bigger Darren Sproles. And that would be a hell of a compliment if you asked Darren Sproles last year. But they don't have that guy, in my opinion. What are your thoughts, Jeff, on the running back?
Bobby pointed it out, and I don't know, maybe it's just because I was too engulfed in the season to realize it, but like there were times where Jaden Blue was basically another wide receiver on the field. Like he was that impactful in the passing game. So you don't have a guy like that. I'll go back to the CJ Baxter point, and you can beat Ohio State in that opener without CJ Baxter. I don't think you can win a national championship without getting contributions from pretty much everybody in that room. Like you're going to need Trey Wisner to be at his best. I think you'll need CJ Baxter for the second half of the season. And if you get to the CFP, that playoff run, I think especially in non-conference, I think that could be maybe Jarrett Gibson's audition to see where he fits into the rotation throughout conference play. I think James Simon could give you some carries here or there. But I go back to, we talked about Christian Clark, mentioned the nugget that we had over at alltexasfootball.com about him being the first back out with the twos today. From what we were told, like I feel like his ability in the passing game gives him the edge over Jarrett Gibson. And Rod, we talked about this. I also think with the backs in the passing game, I think it depends on what is Arch comfortable with. Is it just going to be limited to just screens? Is it going to be some different kind of routes? What can those guys handle? So I think and we know Sark's going to let the running backs handle the ball in the pass game. I just think that's going to be something that evolves as the season goes on.
Yeah. The running back, I would say last year, in terms of running back targets nationally, both Trey Wisner and Jake Blue were top 10 in running back targets. Sark loves
that. Is amazing stat.
It's crazy.
You think it leads to the narrative that Quinn checked it down a lot. I'll just that there's a reason that was the narrative.
That's fair. That's a good point. And he did check it, but the screen game, and then you watch Jaden Blue, Texas route, wheel routes, a lot of more vertical stuff down the field, and some
two wheel routes for touchdowns. Touchdown against A&M, 2 touchdowns against Ohio State.
Yep, you're right about that. The A&M one that catch was amazing. Remember that catch in the A&M game? Jaden Blue's hands were so underrated. And it's crazy, but you can compliment his hands for being great, and yet he had fumbleitis at times, and
he did have a couple of drops.
Yeah, some drops too. I know. Yeah,
that were inexplicable, really.
Yeah, that's a good point. All right, there you go. Good stuff there. Thank you, Neil, for the super chat. Last one from J Ray 626 says, Matthew, you're killing it. Have a beer on me. Hey man, bro. That we can all agree with. Matthew is
Yingling flight coming to you. Place near you.
Ooh, just in time for football season. Love that. Let's thank Matthew one more time. Matthew is the real MVP behind the scenes. We appreciate him. Thank you guys for all the super chats. A lot of great questions today. And sorry we couldn't get to all of them. If you have any questions that you really wanted to get answered, please direct them to the gentleman at Coffee and Football early tomorrow morning. Bright and early. It will be Bobby Burton and Jerry Hamilton, along with Blake Monroe, bright and early tomorrow morning. We'll also tomorrow have your Wednesday night live stream at 7:15. That'll be myself, Jeff Howe, and CJ Bogle. So if you have any questions that we missed, you can just carry them over to those live streams tomorrow. Oh, real quick, I did see, and I don't know how true this is. I saw wifey, Bobby, Jenny mentioned that one of your favorite shows is The Gilded Age. Is that true?
Yes.
I watch it too, so he's not alone. I also watch The Gilded Age. And I won't spoil it, the last episode left you on the cliffhanger.
I told her. I told her, you can't believe what just happened to my show.
Yeah, see, so Jenny, he is not alone. She's like, he's the only one watching that. He is not the only one watching. I watch it too.
I'm all about the old school robber barons.
Oh yeah. I like that. Yeah. What's like? Yeah, I'm with you. Like the 1923 or whatever, that kind of old stuff.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you to all you guys out there for watching, listening. Really appreciate you guys and your participation. Thank you to our sponsors as well. Thank you to Andy Ludicky. We appreciate Mark Saunders as well and all of his support. And we appreciate our friends over at Duck Camp, duckcamp.com. For Bobby and for Jeff and for Matthew. I'm Lifetime Longhorn Rod Babers. Until next time, hook 'em horns.
Hook 'em.